On June 23, 2016, the British folks created a storm in the Forex market. The reason for this was the Brexit referendum, and storms are as much a part of trading as lulls. Many people believe in good weather that you can survive in the market without equipment at any time. But there are always extraordinary situations in which the prices do not move as one is used to. You can think of it somewhat like the weather forecast. In summer it is mostly warm and in winter it is mostly cold. But that doesn't mean that there can't be cool days in the summer. And every now and then it rains a little and it's a little windy. But that can certainly turn into a storm. And when such a storm hits with full force, then many people are not prepared for it. Imagine you are on the sea in a boat. The water under your keel is your trading capital. The waves are the movements in the market. Now you try with your boat to cope as well as possible with the current swell to reach your goal. If you have too little water under your boat, you will run aground and not move at all. That is why every captain uses appropriate instruments to determine how much water he still has under his keel. In trading, water is the capital we trade with, but the water level can change significantly as soon as there is a storm. And in such situations you might have to adjust your course a little bit to avoid being caught sideways by the big waves. Especially in the last 2 years we have noticed that there are situations that differ significantly from what we were used to as normal life. In addition to health threats, there have been financial problems, a recession, and rising energy and living costs. And although most people probably grew up in times when such threats were unimaginable, there have been situations like this before. For example, the first Brexit vote in the summer of 2016 caused such a storm to shake the Forex markets. With automatic trading it is possible to trade exactly such storms and crisis situations from the past using historical data to find out whether our current strategy is able to cope with such situations. And even if your trading boat runs automatically, you are still the responsible captain. This means that you have to equip yourself accordingly and react to the current weather situation. As a captain, you are responsible to react appropriately to crisis situations and to think beforehand and in good weather about what you have to do to keep your ship on course in a storm despite high waves. Because if you have dealt with a crisis situation before you actually get into the situation, you have a much better chance of not panicking in the crisis. There is a story about Tony Robbins who took lessons on a racetrack. His instructor told him that they were going to drive at high speed towards a wall, and then he would push a button that would lift one of the 4 wheels of the race car off the ground. At that moment, the driver would have to look in the direction in which he had to steer the car. Under no circumstances should he stare at the wall. The problem here is human nature, because in such crisis situations, people are trained to focus on the problem, and that means they stare at the wall. And if the driver's focus is on the wall, then he will drive into that wall. Tony Robbins describes that his instructor would physically grab his helmet and turn his head in the right direction. This also directs the attention to where the real target is. If available, I will link the corresponding video in the playlist.